Greetings, everyone. This is Tom Funk, and thank you for joining on my Trail Tales podcast. I'll be kicking off reading excerpts out of my manuscript for A Million Steps, which is my travelogue of hiking across Michigan's Upper Peninsula during the summer of 1998. So what I'm going to do is read excerpts basically on a day's worth of hiking, telling you what I experienced as I moved across the landscape. So, take a seat, find a beverage, sit down, and let's enjoy the ride, and we will get started. Just a little background. I did this when I turned 30 years of age. I wanted to do something really memorable, so I decided I was going to hike across Michigan's Upper Peninsula. And I started at the west end of the UP, and I hiked as much of the North Country Trail that I could find. And back in the late 90s, the trail was not in the best shape in the Upper Peninsula, and you'll see that as we go along. So I have the book broken up into two parts. The first part is the Canadian Shield, and each day is highlighted, and I broke this up into chapters, which is basically by county. All right, here we go. Chapter 1, Gogebic County. The word Gogebic derives its name from a variety of sources, and none of which we all agree on. One of the meanings that has gained some traction is body of water hanging on high, probably a reference to the 32 waterfalls, 315 lakes, and 1,200 miles of river that are found in this 1,100 square mile county. Originally settled by Native Americans, French trappers explored this area in the late 1600s. The discovery of iron ore in 1871 led to an influx of people to extract this value element. Today, only 18,000 residents inhabit this mostly forested county. July 19th, 1998, Michigan-Wisconsin border in Ironwood is where I start, and I end my day at Narrows Creek Campground. I hiked 12 miles today with a trip total of 12. The weather is 80 degrees and clear, and I'll be using a bug factor between 0 and 10. 0 is no bugs, of course. 10 is time to pack up and go home because they're carrying me away on stretchers. 5 is where most average humans probably are dousing themselves with bug spray. Well, today's bug factor is a 0. And trail conditions, it is a road walk from my start to my end point. We were about to begin a voyage, the duration of which we could not foresee. Father Jacques Marquette, 1673. What the heck am I doing? And just like that, years of planning and months of preparation have commenced on the sunny summer day in Ironwood, the westernmost city in Michigan's Upper Peninsula. This is the beginning of a journey of a lifetime, an adventure that few people have ever embarked upon, walking across the Upper Peninsula using the North Country Trail. Poised on a bridge over the Montreal River at the Michigan-Wisconsin state line, I'm wearing a pack that's about 20 pounds more than I should be carrying, and I'm facing a challenging task, surviving using my physical condition, my minimal equipment, and my lack of wits. At this particular moment, I have more equipment than wits. I'm in good company. Don and Barb McWethy, along with their dog Scruffy, just spent over 48 hours traveling from Kalamazoo, Michigan to Ironwood, bringing me to this milestone in my short 30-year life. This is the moment I've been planning and prepping for over 2 years. This is it. Time to start my journey. I'm in decent shape practicing my backpacking skills at many state parks, and I honed my skills and endurance by hoofing anywhere between 5 to 15 miles once or twice a week with about a 30-pound pack. Well, today I overpacked, and I surely will ditch some weight sooner or later. And I'm pounding the pavement wearing Marine Corps boots and sporty shorts as I make my way east up US 2. Good luck, says Don, shaking my hand. Be safe, says Barb, giving me a hug. My story actually began 3.5 billion years ago when great volcanic activity spewed volcanic lava over the surface on which I stand. A great rift stretched to the north, creating Isle Royale, and to the south is a substrate for which I walk on for about 3 weeks. This is the Canadian Shield, the oldest rock formation on the planet. Vast iron ore deposits are found around this principal city in the Gogebic Iron Range, which stretches from upper Wisconsin to the Keweenaw Peninsula. It's a sunny, beautiful day with no humidity. Walking past several businesses looking for Lake Superior Street, I eventually need to head north on this paved road. Not one of these merchants reflected Ironwood's mining past. Settled in 1885 as the commercial center of the Gogebic Iron Mining District, it was named after James Ironwood. About 20 minutes of walking, I find Superior Street, and I assume this is the road I need. All this weight on my back, wearing military-style boots, walking on asphalt, this means sore feet. Walking surface streets is in a northerly direction. I decide to take a load off in Hatula Corners, where I eat my very first lunch of the trip. Basically at a crossroad, there is a muffler shop on one corner and an abandoned gas station on the other. This looks like farmland with the occasional large hill sprouting from the landscape. After crawling into a stand of young poplar, I start checking my feet. I have a hot spot on my right heel on its bottom. It's really nothing to worry about. It's just tender, no blister or anything. And I realized, man, this is hard work. By far my best lunch as far as taste concerned. It certainly rewards the hard work I've been doing. But this lunch is tuna fish, crackers and cheese, and fruit punch. Lunches are meant to be taken using no silverware, no cooking, and no cleaning. You know, eating middle and lunch in the middle of the day, I don't want to spend my time cleaning and cooking. So I feel tired after lunch, and I take a long nap, about 2 hours in length. Hey, I kind of like 2-hour naps, so I woke up, and I felt well-rested but groggy, but it was only to hit more pavement. I find my next intersection where I need to make a turn, Black River Road. I go north, and now I'm looking for Narrows Creek Campground. First, I take another nap. But I'm concerned about violating landowners' private property by trespassing, so I basically take a nap in a ditch. I find a spot and clear of downfall. Only 6 feet from passing cars, I feel secluded, and as tired as I was, passing cars did not wake me up. Naps, well, as I was to find out, they felt really good. I awaken myself, and I start carrying myself at a steady pace, and I can only put one foot in front of another. Before this trip, I decided that I should start each day at a time where I know I will be finished by 6 p.m. The sun does not set until well after 9 o'clock at night, so if I need extra time, I have 3 hours to use. Today's destination, which isn't on my DeLorme Road Atlas and Gazetteer, I used DeLorme maps and North Country Trail maps for my journey, and at this point, I'm actually using a map from a book about Michigan waterfalls. My DeLorme map shows Narrows Creek, and there's a place where it comes very close to the road. Assuming this is a place where the campground is, I have a short distance still to walk. What is nice about these maps is that every bend in the road is indicated on the map. If you know how to use a map and compass, it is very easy to track your progress using DeLorme maps. Since most of the land in the area has no trespassing signs, I don't think I have walked by my destination. In a car, it's easy to miss your turn traveling at a higher rate of speed. But me, at 2 miles an hour, I should not have missed my spot, but it feels like I have walked past my campground. Time goes by so slowly when you're walking. Where is Narrows Creek Campground? I start to think of my options if I do not find this campground. Do I throw myself in a ditch? Do I just grin and bear it? Do I keep walking? As I'm thinking, I can see a sign in the distance. Using my binoculars, well, it's just part of the reason why my pack weighs so much, I look to it, and yes, the sign says Narrows Creek Park Camping, with an arrow pointing to the right. You should never expect too much when you're through packing. The majority of my trip will be through areas that see very few backpackers. This is one such place as I learned my very first night on my journey. It is not the most modern of campsites, just a gravel driveway, one picnic table, one pit toilet, and a 100-foot 45-degree decline down to Narrows Creek. Not one to complain, however. I am glad I am done for the day. Well, my first order of business was to soak my feet. My dogs were hurting, throbbing. I find the river only to peer down its steep escarpment leading to water and many large rocks. I gather my soap, my towel, water containers, and my courage only to have the roots and rocks lead the way, laughing at my every step down the descent. Make it to the bottom successfully, I soaked my battered feet. Oh, that felt so good. Narrows Creek Falls isn't really a waterfall at all. In fact, it's barely a creek, and the water is warm and shallow. There are numerous exposed, polished rock in the riverbed. This river is probably at 25% of capacity. There's not enough water to even make a rapid. Fortunately, though, the water is drinkable. I struggled to climb back up the steep, sandy embankment, lugging a gallon and a half of filtered water, and I quickly become winded, arriving at the top just as sweaty as before I went down to bathe. While bathing and water collection are out of the way, I proceed to set up camp. Camp is not the word to use. Bivouac is more appropriate. I did not bring a tent. I use a tent vestibule and a piece of plastic that's 6 feet long by 3 feet wide, a sleeping pad, a sleeping bag, a Gore-Tex rain sack, and I drape a mosquito net over my so-called campsite. I had not practiced setting up this bivouac yet, but I'm a smart guy. I can figure this out. I think I needed a few more trees than I thought, and I created a triangle, and I strung my rope around the trees, and these supported the mosquito net. It takes about 15 minutes. I have my bivouac set up. My rain tarp is about 2 feet off the ground. Probably too low, but if it rains, I'll stay dry. My sleeping bag is inside the Gore-Tex, and this configuration is on my pad, which is set up on top of the plastic. The ground slopes to my feet, and so does the tarp. I am sure I will stay dry if it does cloud over and begins to rain. After camp is squared away, the next task is to prepare dinner. Since I had a big lunch, I'm not hungry for anything but to read my books. I have several books with me. I have Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment. I have Newcomb's Wildflowers of Eastern North America, Peterson's Birds of Eastern North America, and a book on the Copernican Revolution. Here is a great place to scale down some weight. 4 books. Yeah, I think I'll get rid of some of those when I have a chance. So I'm reading, and a few cars pull in now and then to check out the falls or the lack thereof. The first carload ignored me completely, but I can see why. I shaved my head bald. I look like an escapee from a mental institution. And I'm reading Dostoevsky. I fit the profile of a deranged person. Another car pulls up and asks me where the falls are. They're down the steep bank, but the river's very low and there are no falls, I say to the elderly couple, which drove up in a Buick Century. And they asked, do you know of any other falls in the area? We heard this is a great area for waterfalls, the elder man says, about 60 years of age. As a matter of fact, if you go up the road, there are at least 5 more. They should be marked. A couple pulls away, and hopefully the waterfall hunting was successful. Other cars come and go, and all ignore me, probably because I'm ignoring them while I'm reading my book. Then a minivan pulls up. And I ignore it just like the rest. I just have to take a glance at it, and I start reading again. I notice out of the corner of my eye, a very large, tall man is walking towards me. A deep voice penetrates the campsite. Hey there. It's Paul Frederick, a fellow coworker. Oh my God, how the heck are you? You found me. Well, you did guilt trip Christy and I into making sure we found you. And out of this van pours Christy, Elizabeth, and Paul's daughter, Kira. You guys rule. This is so awesome. I am at a loss of words. I am truly excited. Paul, Christy, and Elizabeth all work with me at the Binder Park Zoo in Battle Creek, Michigan. Paul is our maintenance supervisor, Christy is our horticulturist, and Elizabeth is my direct supervisor, and she is the director of the zoo's education programs. I am her right-hand man to the day-to-day manager of the programs. Before I left, I gave Christy a map of where to find me. The four of them were taking a trip from Toronto to Minneapolis, and I tried talking them into traveling through the Upper Peninsula to visit me. I really did not expect to see them since it was probably much quicker to drive through the Lower Peninsula to get to Minneapolis. If they did find me, I thought it would be tomorrow at the earliest that I would actually see them. "Hey, Swamp Boy," says Elizabeth. The name Swamp Boy is my moniker at the zoo, having been the project manager for our Swamp Adventure exhibit. You guys rule. If I saw you at all, I expect it to be tomorrow at the earliest. I am still pumped I have visitors. Well, we didn't take as long as we thought we would in Toronto. We drove straight through to some campground outside of Sault Ste. Marie. Brimley State Park, I ask? No, some private campground. Meanwhile, Paul, Christy, and Kira are setting up the Taj Mahal of tents. This thing was a behemoth. It has a sleeping quarter and a porch. Elizabeth was more modest with her small dome tent. When we pulled up, we did not recognize you. You look like some escapee from prison. We told Paul to get out and see if it was you. If not, he was going to ask for directions to the next campground, said Elizabeth. She is definitely in vacation mode. Shorts, t-shirt, ball cap, probably doped up on caffeine. She definitely needs a vacation more than me. Truly fascinated by my trip. The only story I have for them is that my feet hurt. Christy pulls out a metal bowl and dumps some ice in it for me to soak my feet. These guys rule. They even cook supper for me and wash my dishes. We stayed up and played euchre, as good Michiganders do, and we turned in at sundown. All right. Day 1 in the books. I hope you enjoyed it. Come on back in a week and hear about day 2. Thanks again. This is Tom Funk with Trail Tales, and we will see you again. Thanks for listening.